And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bubba and the Bloom, episode 126. Going to talk about some mid-round starting pitching slow starters, some recent news, and much, much more to get you to Tuesday night special of the fantasy week. You can find me on Twitter at BDintric, the podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod, and my co-host, as always, on Twitter at RyanBHQ. Ryan Bloomfield, how we doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good, man. Totally forgot it was Tuesday and forgot to set my daily lineup. So that's going well for me, but I did remember that we have our show tonight. So
that's good. That's good.
Priorities. So I'm going to miss one thing. Rather miss Tau Daily than our pod. I guess you'd text me if.
Yeah, you get an alert from me at some time. Like you beat me to the asking for questions tweet today, so you're on top of it. So,
I did. Yeah. Usually you throw it out there early, but
yeah.
I picked up your slack and I picked up your slack with some name pronunciations.
Yeah, man. Apparently I'm horrible at that. So I'm gonna need all the help. I guess not Andy Pages. It's Andy Pajes.
Yeah. The trick is to not just mispronounce names, but it's to just say the complete wrong name in the wrong sport. Like my Jared Lorenzen, RIP, Michael Lorenzen gaff last week.
Yeah, it's all fun and games. People that just. Some people take our show way too seriously, I think. It's the way I look at it. We're just a couple dudes having fun talking fantasy baseball. So most people
not us. Yeah, we don't take it too seriously.
Nope, not over here. But let's get into some of this recent news because it's not all injuries. I'll say that much. Most of it is, but it's not all this time. I'll preface there. We'll start with kind of the maybe biggest one for this show, at least, because lots of shares on this show. Ozzie Albies goes down with a right toe fracture placed on the 10-day IL. Ozzie, after the game on Tuesday, says it's a freak injury, but there's nothing I can do about it. Make sure I heal fast and be ready to go before I feel better. So with all that being said, we saw Guillerme, and I know that's how it's pronounced, played second base. Well, Arias plays for the man. I'm just going to have so much for this. Yeah, Arias plays shortstop. So Albies is out. What's the game plan?
There's not much of a game plan, man. It is your boy Guillerme, and I guess David Fletcher got called up.
Fletcher got called up to take his spot, so do with that what you wish.
Neither one. It's probably going to be a platoon there. So honestly, the biggest thing is it's not really actionable, but Michael Harris is probably moving up to second.
Yep. Second on Tuesday night.
We kind of said, like, last year the Braves really ran pure with injuries. It was Acuna, Albies, Olsen, and Riley pretty much every day in that top four, and Harris just never was able to crack because, who cracks the top of the lineup with that crew? So I think it's actually a big boon for Michael Harris. Albies is a hold. Obviously, in a vacuum, it's just tough because if your team's out there, any like mine, yes, Albies himself is a hold, but now does that push another injured hold that you have into a drop? Because I honestly have some teams, again, no one cares, but other people are probably in the same boat with like 4 or 5 IL guys out of 7 on reserves now, and it's just you have to being forced into making some tough drops. But Albies is not one of them. I guess like maybe 4 to 6 weeks. So yeah. you hold him for sure.
Yeah, just gotta stay off the foot. We were talking about his boot he was wearing earlier, not wearing, should be wearing.
He took the boot off tonight.
Yeah, dude, the fracture, you got to just keep all weight off of it. Essentially, that's that's what the boot's for, is to take all weight off of it so it can properly heal. Ozzie, stop messing around so we can get back quickly. Maybe shoot a little HGH in that foot. Just throwing it out there.
I didn't realize. Not looking too much at stats right now, but like Ozzie was hitting 314 or something with 14 runs, 14 homers. He was
balling
doing
out.
His thing.
He was having a good time. So we'll see how that goes. But hold. I'm going to jump around here because you mentioned about trying to hold people. Seiya Suzuki went on the IL with an oblique injury. We got the update on Tuesday. He's expected to miss 4 weeks. Last year, his left oblique was a 6-week injury. This is a right oblique. They're saying 4 weeks. With soft tissues, I usually lean to the longer side of things. You're talking about holding. I'm holding Seiya as long as I can, but we're talking month now. Ozzie Albies month plus. How are we feeling about Seiya Suzuki right now, who's also off to an amazing start?
And that's the problem is, but if you have Seiya and Albies and a couple injured pitchers, yada yada. But yes, hold Seiya as much as you can. We are obviously a pro Seiya podcast, both very high on Seiya Suzuki. Entering the season, we did know there was, I guess, some injury risk with this because it was the oblique last year. I guess a different one. Yep. It was his, I don't know, left was the other one last year. Now it's
left last year, right this year.
So I mean, that's not really like any kind of solace, but you try and hold there because Seiya Suzuki is really freaking good, and the Cubs lineup is really freaking good, especially with the way like Michael Busch is hitting. It's a fun group in Chicago. What a Talkman, Alexander Canario platoon.
Canario played well tonight on Tuesday. Former prospect with the Giants, got hurt really bad. Went to the Cubs, played in the fall league to get some more reps last year. Huh. I'm intrigued by Canario. I'm not running because of the platoon part you mentioned, though.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like the Baseball HQ write-up is pretty high on Canario's power. Yeah. Batting average, maybe, and some plate skills might be a little bit of an issue, which I do worry about with whenever someone transitions to the big leagues. But most of all, it's just tough to start a short side platooner in weekly leagues. And I know we'll have our FAB preview episode on Thursday night, but it looks like the Cubs get a ton of right-handers, all right-handers next week. So that's not good news for any kind of streaming possibility for Alexander Canario.
Yeah, Canario reminds me a lot of like a Nelson Velasquez type. That's what I
can see that.
Kind of comp it to if people are looking for an idea there. But yeah, not going to be running to do a whole lot there because that matchup, like you said, not great. Also not great, but this made a ton of sense. It should have happened about 4 days ago. Christian Yelich was finally placed on the IL with his lower back strain. Remember, he's battled back issues most of the last few years. Battled it last year, came back for the playoffs. He missed almost like a month or so, it felt like, at the end of the season with the back issue. He was trying to get better, didn't. Blake Perkins has been playing a ton. South Frelick's been playing in center field. Owen Miller was called up when Yelich was put on the IL. So I don't think you're cutting Christian Yelich, but this feels like it's going to linger for a while.
Yeah, and it's kind of like with Yelich, it's never really been. And so yes, this did happen in September. I think he only missed like 2 weeks, something like that. But he did come back even the last week of the season, and then the playoffs. So I'm hoping this is something similar. And when Yelich is in, the injury does not really affect his per game production. So you just kind of hope this is a maintenance thing, similar to last year, where it's 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever, and you're good to go. The back hasn't really been, at least in recent years, severe for Yelich. You just kind of figure this is going to happen at some point. It sucks that it happens in April because yes, it may happen again. But it is what it is. It does kind of suck. I think he was dated. The IL didn't officially happen until after lock, right? On Mondays.
Yeah, it came on Tuesday. He got put on the IL on Tuesday.
Today?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. You think Blake Perkins is worth an ad? He's hot.
I added him in a lot of places last week. I'm going to roll the dice while Yelich is out. I'll say that much.
Off to a good start. Great start. Very much BABIP driven. 2 homers, 2 steals, and 34 plate appearances. Blake Perkins last year did hit like 300 at AAA, but Blake Perkins had 4 homers and 5 steals in 182 plate appearances at AAA last year. So I think this is just try and ride him while he's hot and playing every day, but don't really expect any kind of long-term thing from Blake Perkins.
Yeah, Perkins is pretty much a stream cut is what that feels like. So
yep.
Be prepared for that one.
Thank you for your service, they say.
Yes. Yep, that's where he's at. Tyler Wells, Baltimore Orioles on the IL with elbow inflammation. Some interesting quotes here. Brandon Hyde, manager of the Orioles, said Tyler Wells is on the IL was precautionary, and they are optimistic this won't be more than a couple of weeks. Another quote from about Brandon Hyde is, he might only miss a couple of weeks, called it precaution. So they rephrased the quote. That's good to see. But this is what we've seen lately, Ryan. We saw it with Framber. We've seen it with Pfaadt and a couple of these other guys, like either between the elbow and the forearm inflammations. They're kind of just playing precautionary, and then you see them sit for a couple of days, let the swelling go down, start playing catch, ramp back up. Like I said the other day on a show, Framber says he played catch on Monday, and he doesn't even think he needs to rehab. Like, he can come back this weekend. Now, every player is optimistic in their own mind, but if these guys, if they are precautionary, I guess it's a glimmer of hope, I'll say.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, who knows what to believe? The player, the team, neither. Neither is probably the best bet with a lot of these, but I guess that's good news. Unlike like the Seiya Suzuki, Ozzy Albies hold, Tyler Wells, I don't think is a hold.
Yeah, you can cut him.
You can look to see if John Means is available on your waiver
Or
wires. Or Kyle Bradish. That's right. I think Means would come back before Bradish, but Bradish is a better pitcher. And Bradish is probably rostered, I would think, in most
I know he
leagues.
should be. Yeah.
Means may or may not be. I know Means just had a rehab start. What
It
may have
hasn't
been
gone well.
It has like the results.
Results have not been good.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. On rehabs, if you get to your pitch count and pitch the next rehab start,
that's true.
I'm not like super concerned about the results, but there's a chance John Means lines up for a start at the Angels next Tuesday, if depending what happens over the weekend. But that's mildly interesting to me if Means is available in your leagues.
That would be intriguing. I'll pass on that one.
You don't sound too high on Means.
Like I agree. Like making it from rehab start to rehab start's the most important part there. Yeah. He's also just looked really, really bad, like control issues, or when he's in the zone. It's like I'll wait and see. I'll wait a few on this, and if I'm wrong, I'll be wrong. Type situation. Let's not blow up already blowing up ratios type thing.
Yeah.
But we'll see. He should be the next man up. You are correct there. Bradish looked great in his first rehab start on Tuesday. Looked phenomenal. Again, rehab start, AA, who knows, but looked real good.
That's a pretty deep rotation in Baltimore too, assuming no one else gets hurt. But once Bradish and Means are back, that's Cole Irvin probably goes bye-bye. Yes. But yeah, Burns, Grayson, Bradish, Dean Kramer hasn't been, I don't think, half bad. So
yeah, Wells might just go back to the bullpen like he finished last year. In reality, he could. So we'll see. All right, Dodgers made a big minor league prospect move on Tuesday, calling up Andy Pfaadt from AAA, the 23-year-old big-time prospect for the Dodgers. Has been hitting .371 in AAA this year with 5 home runs and 2 stolen bases over 15 games. Got a single in his first at-bat and scored a run. Kind of been quiet since then on Tuesday night, but they DFA'd Taylor Trammell, which filled the spot here. Jason Hayward's still on the IL with his injury. So it could be a platoon for Pfaadt, or he might just prove his way to regular at-bats. We'll see.
Yeah, I kind of at first assumed it is a platoon for Pfaadt, but who else would play center field that's a lefty?
Outman. But you don't want him there.
Could be Outman. Yeah, maybe that is the platoon, Outman and Pfaadt. But
that's like last resort, I think, personally.
Yeah. Outman did play the last 4 games against righties in center, hitting 7th. Yeah. So perhaps that's it. If it is similar to what we were saying about Canario, like it's just tough to have anyone on a short side platoon, especially someone adjusting to the majors for the first time. But let's monitor the usage of Pfaadt, how much he starts against righties these next few days.
Yep, see how the rest of the week goes. If he gets regular at bats, then he's definitely worth some cash over the weekend. Otherwise, kind of sit back because next week, lefty righty, lefty righty, lefty righty. So it's literally the military next week, and you have to hope it works out for you. So
you just come up with that left, right, left.
Well, when we golf with our buddies, we call it military golf, and we're hitting it left, right, never down the middle. So it just came to me real quickly. So yes,
that's pretty good. I've never come across military in golf, but
yeah, it's just, we make fun of each other, trash talking, playing military golf.
So, I like it. Yep. I haven't heard that one either.
It's because you're a good golfer. There's a difference. All right, another call up we're going to see on Thursday for the Texas Rangers is one Jack Leiter, big time prospect, number 2 overall prospect in the Ranger system. I'm pretty sure behind Wyatt Langford. But he's going to get the start on Thursday, which is pretty cool to see. The question I have when it comes to this Leiter deal, because he gets Detroit, which is, yes, that's the good team set up their youngsters in good spots, not bad spots. That's good. The question is, I don't know where he goes next week because they seem like they have enough pitchers, is what it feels like. So I'm kind of curious on this one.
Yeah, it's the tough read. Like Leiter, in a nutshell, does have that prospect pedigree a little bit more because I think he was like the 2nd overall pick. Had struggled with some command issues in the upper minors, but this year just 3 walks. I think 3 walks and 3 starts. So a few starts, whatever. But a ton of talent. The problem with Leiter is if he comes out and shoves on Thursday, that Pfaadt price may be through the roof. It's just I agree with you, man. Like I don't know what the long-term play is for the Rangers, because like Scherzer's coming back in early May. Yep. It looks like. So that's only like 2 rotation turns away. Bradford, presumably when he comes back,
his back issue
would come back in. Andrew Heaney's probably on his way out, but then you do have Michael Lorenzen. On the other, like, why would Texas just randomly call up? Like, they don't really need Leiter right now. So that makes me feel like this isn't, I don't think, like an emergency spot start kind of a thing. Feel like that is a nod in Leiter's favor that this could at least be in the short term a regular rotation spot for him.
And last year we did see teams call up youngsters and actually roll with them for a while, unlike previous seasons. So that does throw that as an option. But it's like you look at the other options that the Rangers had, like Cole Winn, Owen White. Who are these people? Like who are they? I'm not even trying to be that funny. I have no idea who these potential starters are. So Leiter might be the best of the bunch, but I'm also with you. Like, why call him up instead of a different AAA maybe to make the spot start? So I'm with you on that one. We'll wait and see.
Yep.
Brian Hayes, we don't know the full extent of this one yet, so originally we weren't going to talk a lot about this, but I wanted to bring it up. Scratched on Tuesday with a back injury. This is something we've seen with Hayes throughout his career, and that's why I brought this up, because this is a massive bummer. And no homers, no steals to start the year after a monster spring. Good second half last year. Just something, I guess, to monitor. Not a whole lot we can take away from this, but I wanted to throw it out there for anybody that's listening, and if Ryan has any other thoughts on that.
Nothing enlightening, which is par for the course. There's Pirates are not very deep, man. Like there's like Jared Triolo,
maybe.
Yeah, Aleko Williams, like maybe plays in a platoon. You don't want that. Jared Triolo's been decent, hitting .263 with a homer and 2 steals, like in 15 teamers, qualifying at second and third base. I think that's mildly interesting, but not hitting the ball that hard, and has a .330 BABIP. So I don't even know if a .260 batting average can last. So I don't know. Like you said, the with Hayes, the back injury has been lingering. I wonder, like, he doesn't have any homers or steals. So has that been an issue since the spring? But
yep, that's what I'm wondering. So kind of, I think, be prepared for an IL call in the next day or two. Would be my 2 cents on this one, but to be determined. Last bit of news I want to bring up here. I talked about him a bit with Ben this week, but it became official. Tommy Pham, minor league deal, going to report to AAA. And it's actually kind of, for all things considered, with the White Sox, kind of intriguing, actually, because Pham still hit last year. Like, he still hits well. Like, he had one of the greatest tweets, like, last week when someone said, Tommy, why aren't anybody signing you or something? They think you're old. He's all, I might be old, but my StatCast looks good. And he's not wrong there. And you look at this lineup, it's, Robbie Grossman's leading off and playing every day. Benintendi stinks. Dominic Fletcher, yeah. So, like, there's room for Tommy Pham if all things are said and done. So that's why I want to bring it up to you, Ryan. I talked with Ben about it. Like, I mentioned how Toby was aggressive on him, but he's probably still available in a lot of 12-team and Challenger leagues. Guarantee you he's available on, like, Yahoo and whatnot. So what is your take on Tommy Pham?
Yeah, he was awesome last year. Like, Tommy Pham, in 481 plate appearances, had 16 homers and 22 steals with an 11% barrel rate, which is awesome, and an 88% stolen base success rate, which is, for an old man, that is pretty sweet. And you made the point how bad the White Sox are. And I mean, that's our thing, is like players on bad teams that play every day. Tommy Pham is good. The only question I have is, like, how long will he rehab, or not rehab? Will he, I don't know, ramp up in the minors? Like, it certainly won't be as long as, hopefully, as my man JD Martinez, who,
goodness gracious,
God, did you see he's out till like late April now?
Oh yeah, no, it just I stopped reporting about it. I'm like, my daily write-ups, I just stopped saying. I'm like, just tell me when you're ready to play. I'm over this.
I would think Pham, it would be quicker than that if, injuries be damned. And Pham stays in great shape. Like, I think he would be up pretty soon. But that is one thing I would just look at with Pham, is like, when will he be up? Like, early next week? later next week. What does that next week thing look like? But I think Tommy Pham is good enough, even if he, takes a week or two in the minors. That's worth an ad in a lot of leagues because he is really good despite the age.
Yep, no, I'm all aboard that train. If he comes up, if you need outfielders, like in our last Fab show, we were talking about, like Tyler Freeman and or no, Will Brennan, guys like that. Like if Tommy Pham shows up, he just trumps majority of the outfielders we're talking about. So very much looking forward to that.
I think Will Brennan homered today.
He did. And he had, I think, an RBI double yesterday off the bench. He's fine. Like he's playing, knock on wood. A lot of our streamers are actually playing well to start the week, but I still take Pham over most of them for the whole season.
Yes.
Type
I mean,
stuff.
Pham is not a weekly streamer that you're playing lefty righty with.
Yeah, because if they platoon him with like Dominic Fletcher, Pham might riot. Pham would riot. Pham wouldn't stand for that. Honestly, he'd be like, "I'm out."
I mean, I wouldn't put it past the White Sox to do that, but that would be bad.
The goal is, Eloy goes down again and Pham can, just DH potentially or something. It's the reality.
The goal is Eloy gets hurt.
The goal might be the wrong word there. Sorry, don't 4-star rate us on that, but it something along those lines.
I mean, they can't. So Robbie Grossman is hitting 194. Well. No, dude, he's hitting 194, no barrels,
leading off.
40 plate appearances leading off. He does draw a ton of walks, so I get the leadoff thing, but you can put Pham in right field.
Yeah, the team's bad. The team's very bad.
So I don't know.
All right, we'll wrap up the news on that one. Get you caught up on Thursday with more goodies on the diamond. But let's talk Bloom Boards. It's Tuesday night, Bloom Boards special, and Ryan's got a doozy for us. So I'm going to clean up the picture here. You got it. Why don't you tell us what we got going here on the Bloom Board?
All right, so this is, since we live in the middle rounds. This is a list of mid-round pitchers, and by mid-round, I'm going 90 through 250 ADP, so we can kind of get a larger swath of league sizes there. Mid-round starting pitchers who are on the struggle bus, at least on the surface. So this is a group of 12. There are 12 starting pitchers with an ERA north of 4.50 and a WHIP north of 130 that were drafted in that 90 to 250 range. The thought here being anybody who you drafted in the first 6 rounds, you're holding, right? I mean, you're not trying to drop anybody who, after 3 or 4 starts that you drafted in the top 90 picks. It's just not reasonable. And anything past 250, if they suck this bad, you probably are, or have already cut them. So I feel like this middle round thing is a nice kind of midway for how concerned are we on this group? Are we cutting any of these guys? Are we buying low on any of these guys, et cetera, et cetera? So pretty good group of names, pretty wide array of skills and results too, though.
All right, let's go through it then. I think we'll cover all 12 of them on the show here, but it is a good name. We'll start with Joe Musgrove. He leads the way, ADP of around 94. He's thrown 24 innings so far there. It's been really rough. It's been 5 starts, actually. So 24 innings and 5 starts, 20 Ks over that run. Ryan's got the 6.29 ERA down there, 1.77 WHIP. You look at his StatCast page, and it's ice. Let's put it that way. And I know it's the lazy way of analysis, but we're going to get deeper into this. But just the initial glance, it ain't good at all. I've been anti-Musgrove all draft season, and to me, there's nothing that's telling me, oh, things are going to get better. But maybe I'm missing something. So what are you seeing, Ryan?
I don't know. I mean, and so there's a few ways to kind of slice and dice. You can look at the skills, and I should have said this for the YouTube and streamer crowd. We have the ERA and WHIP, but we also have Sierra, which I believe stands for Skills Independent ERA. Basically, you can find it on Fangraphs. It's what their ERA, quote unquote, should be if you strip out certain things that pitchers cannot control. And then we have, the legend strikeout minus walk, and I color coded those. So you can kind of see which pitchers, at least from a skill standpoint, have been good or bad. But then there's also things like game logs and, if it over Musgrove's case, 5 starts, but a lot of these guys 3 to 4 starts, you can kind of see what the level of competition is. Musgrove, he had his worst start in the first game of the year, which is never good. That was in Korea, 5 earned runs against the Dodgers, which I certainly don't, fault him for, and 2 2/3 or whatever But then 4 earned runs against your San Francisco Giants, only 3
Juggernaut.
Ks. Which,
Juggernaut.
yeah, like you should. What is that? Is it back-to-back days against the Giants with 10 Ks?
Edward Cabrera, I lived with that. Ryan Weathers, that was a gut punch.
Yeah. So since those first 2 starts, though, for Musgrove, those 9 earned runs, it's been 8 earned runs over his last 3. I don't know. I worry about the shoulder, how Musgrove ended last year. When you pair the shoulder problems with the fact that he hasn't been able to throw strikes this year, 38% ball rate. League average on that is 36. And for Musgrove, that has been 34% each of the previous 3 seasons. So you couple the shoulder problems with kind of a sudden loss of control. That's my biggest issue with Musgrove. I have him at my only league I have him in is a 10-team points league, family league. And I'm surprised I don't know why he's still on my team, but he's not starting for me.
Yeah, no, and it's like he had the one good start against St. Louis, but even his last 2 starts, 10 innings, 7 earned runs, 7 walks, 8 strikeouts. Strikeouts have been kind of bothersome. Like you mentioned, there's an 8% K to walk. That's just glaring to me in this scenario. So it's a no for me, dog type thing, and maybe it gets better, but I'll have to wait and see on that one.
So a no, but like, what if you have Musgrove in a 12?
It's hard to drop him. I get it. I'd be really close to dropping him, but I've been much more aggressive this year on dropping people.
Yeah, I'd wait and see another start or 2, see if the control reins in a little bit. But after that, it's
let's just throw this out for fun. He has faced Milwaukee. We saw how that went. He gets Toronto this Sunday. That's a hit and miss lineup. Next week he gets Philadelphia, so he's not getting cookie cutters either.
No point.
So we'll have to see how that plays out. Maybe bench him for now. It's be my best suggestion. Don't start him and see how it goes. But time will tell. Bailey Ober. This is a fun one. It was a little Ober and out in his first start of the year against the Royals. Inning in the third, 8 earned runs. But my, oh my, how the tide has turned his last 2 outings. And it's been, one might say glorious is the word I would use in this one after kind of getting pushed back due to rain and other things. 11 innings over his last 2 starts, 1 earned run, 10 strikeouts to 2 walks against the Dodgers and at the Detroit Tigers. I'm much more optimistic about Mr. Bailey Ober over these last 2 starts.
Agreed. Velocity is stable. The last 2 starts have been great. This could very well just be you had your worst start on the first, your first start of the year. Throwing strikes, the control is there. I'm not worried about Bailey Ober one bit, despite the 6.57 ERA. Like, it totally sucks that happened to you as an Ober person. The first start of the year, like how awful is
because you weren't sitting him. Everyone was
no. It was there. Your team ERA to give up 8 earned and 1 in the third innings, like your team ERA was just ballooned for that first week. But stay the course, and Bailey Ober will be fine.
Yep, 100% with you on that one. This one's a tough one because A, I'm biased, but B, it's just been an up and down. This is Tanner Bibee. 4 innings, 3 earned, 5 walks in his first start. Then comes back and deals against Minnesota. Then struggles against the White Sox of all teams, allowing 5 runs and 4 in a third. And now he comes back on Tuesday evening before we record. 5 innings, 1 earned, 2 walks, 3 Ks against Boston. You'd hope for more, at least I would hope for more strikeouts. So it's kind of an up and down deal. Velocity was back up a little bit tonight, which was good on Tuesday evening. That was a plus. 28% CSW overall plus as well. 23% swing rate. Only 10 whiffs though. So I'm still optimistic. It's a back and forth, and it's one of those I keep starting, and because you don't know what you're going to get really with Bibee. And before I give you the floor to tell me I'm wrong, is the one thing with him, and I'm still going to go back to what we talked about in the preseason and my article I wrote. He needs to adjust the freaking pitch mix. It's just a glaring thing. He still had a 43% fastball usage, and then his changeup 23, slider 21, curveball 13 on Tuesday night. Still going heavy to the fastball. Might a little bit better than previous outings, but still, that's just a lot of fastball usage for a fastball that's not good at all. So, what's your thoughts on Tanner Bibee?
He didn't read your column.
Yeah, it blows my, and trust me, I'm not trying to pat my back because there's smarter people pointing this out about a lot of pitchers. How can analysts figure this stuff out, but like the team does? Is it that hard for a pitcher to change, or I don't know? I'm just baffled.
I don't know.
There's a
I have
lot
no
more to
idea.
it than we
Cleveland's
know.
smarter. I
Yeah,
trust Cleveland's analysts over me and you.
100%.
No offense.
No,
Um,
100% agree with you. So I
like
just want to.
there is a point of diminishing returns. You can't just throw all your secondaries. I know you're not calling for that, but just a slight reduction in four seam usage would seem to benefit Bibee. I don't know. The problem with Bibee is like the fastball was bad last year. It's gotten worse this year. So it was. I'm glad you called out. I watched the first few innings of Bibee start today against the Red Sox. My last hour on the day job, and yes, the velocity was back. The command still didn't look good, even with his secondary. So I worry about the command. The ball rate is up for Tanner Bibee, but the fastball has gotten even worse. It's gone from bad to worse. The swinging strike on is down from 9%, which is to 6%, which is awful. And he's not throwing it for strikes. A 41% ball rate on your four seamer, that's bad. And so if you have an even worse fastball than you had last year, it's just harder for those secondaries to catch up. Now, the good news with Tanner Bibee is those secondaries are still fine. The slider changeup are like still they miss a ton of bats. It's there, and then I don't know, with the velocity coming back up today, like I'm not super worried about Bibee. I just think it's going to take some time, and would love to see a uptick in those two secondaries in the slider and the changeup. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. I'm still I think Brant Chester. We had a listener question from him. I think Brant benched Bibee in a 12-team league, which is probably the smart move. I've still got Bibee rolling in 15-teamers without really much hesitation at this point.
Yeah, as I was going to say, is where Bibee is now is in a 12. He's just like a start by start basis. That's really where he's at. It's a lot of these guys, like, because there's about 3 or 4 of them in my roster, and depending on what leagues I have, they're starting in some and sitting in others. Like, it's just the reality of the situation. Yep. And Bibee's on that wall, and Brandon Pfaadt, who we'll talk about later, is on that wall. And there's just a few of these guys where I don't feel comfortable in every scenario, and I hope I have better options some nights. But Bibee's like Brant sitting him in a 12. I totally get. Like, I'll go through and look at my live scoring tonight on all my leagues, and I probably didn't start him in every league. I'm pretty confident in that, but maybe I did. Who knows? But I wanted to look at Bibee. He had Boston tonight. Next week he gets Boston at home and then at Atlanta. Whew, that's a tricky 2-step, folks. Just gonna throw it out there. It's a very if I would probably sit Tanner Bibee next week, and then he'll probably just shove, and it'll suck. But because that's the one thing with Bibee and probably a lot of these guys is, I'm not going to be shocked if any of these guys deal. It's just there's some blow-ups here too.
Bibee had the one game against Minnesota with 9 Ks and no walks. The problem is his blow-ups have been against Oakland and the White Sox.
The teams where you feel confident running them out there. It's that's what I'm saying. Boston will get, or the Braves will probably shut them down on everybody's bench. It's just the way it goes.
Hunter Brown style.
Yes, and that goes to Hunter Brown, you professional you. ADP of 118. This 7 innings pitched. But I'm just going to throw that out here. That's over 3 starts, folks. 3 starts, 7 2/3 if you want to get technical on this one. 14 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, and 7 walks. Now, 9 of those earned runs happened in his last start, 5 in the start prior to that. That's not good. He did bounce back against said Atlanta Braves. 6 innings, 2 earned, 3 walks still, but 3 strikeouts. He limited the damage, but it's like, similar to Bibee, the part that bugs me with Bibee is all the walks and not enough strikeouts. Brown's in that world right now, and I am slightly concerned about Hunter Brown, but it was nice seeing the improvements today.
I guess it was. I would say yes. He skirted by the Braves today. Three walks and 3 strikeouts don't exactly exude confidence.
Doesn't do it. No.
How many whiffs do you have? Brown had 11 whiffs on 88 pitches today. That's okay. The thing with Brown, the thing with Brown is the secondary pitches. I don't think I've seen this before. 3% swing strike on his cutter, curve, and split finger this year. Basically, none of his secondary pitches are missing bats. His fastball velocity, at least before today's Braves start, is down a full tick. Which again, not super worried about that early in the season, but I don't know. It's pretty ugly. Like don't have much faith in Hunter Brown, even with the Atlanta start. I felt like the Atlanta start today was a little bit lucky.
Yeah, it was. And in 12s, you can drop Hunter Brown. I'm just going to throw that out there. If you want to hold, go for it. But so he had Atlanta today. Next week, he gets at the Cubs. And then I'm pretty sure I'd have to go deeper. But it isn't the most friendly matchup the following week either. So you might not be starting Hunter Brown for another 3 weeks or so, which in a 12 is kind of a disposable situation.
NFBC 12 teamers, Brown is 83% rostered, only 13% started, which is the whipsaw. This was the Anthony Gialdi had this, the old whipsaw where everyone had Hunter Brown in last week. Everyone benched him this week. And,
yep. It never fails. Never fails. It's like
fantasy.
It's the old my golf DFS montage. If you were so in on a guy that missed the cut, make sure you play him next week because it's golf. And that's just how it works. And he'll come in at low ownership because no one else is going to play him. And life is good. Same thing for anything in fantasy. It's just the way of the world on this one. All right, let's go Mitch Keller on this one. He's made 4 starts so far this season, and he's been interesting. 24 innings pitched, 4.50 ERA, 1.46 WHIP. The K to walk is definitely at 13.2, not what you would expect from Mr. Mitch Keller, but he's only really struck out guys well one game, and that was Detroit. 3 road starts have been pretty rough, so I'm not going to say he's got home road splits, but that might be something to what he's got going on there. What do you think when you see Mitch Keller? Because he's pretty much a matchup guy for me anyways, but how do you feel on Keller?
I hope Corbin Young's not listening. Just took that one personally. I don't know. Mitch Keller, he's fine. Like, and Mitch Keller barely makes this list because he does have a 4.50 ERA. It's weird. The actually right now is running with a career high whiff rate of 11%. That has been in single digits each of the previous 2 years for Mitch Keller. So the skills actually aren't really that far off. Same exact ball percentage for Keller through 24 innings this year as he had all of last year. I think this is just my opinion on Keller is unchanged, we'll say.
Yeah, that's fair. Here's a guy that I wanted nothing to do with. I even put out like polls during draft season of like, hey, are we in? Are we out? What are we doing here? And Tristan McKenzie started throwing decent towards the end of spring and it upped this ADP to 175. Because I remember when I put my poll out on Twitter, it was like 250-ish, give or take, on that ADP, and it climbed towards the end. And it's been rough over Tristan's first 3 starts, 13 innings, 9 earned runs, 12 walks, 5 strikeouts. Like, you see that 12, that's why you have a minus 11.3 K to walk. There's just a lot of things, Ryan, that do not make me feel warm and fuzzy, and I would be running for Z Hills, like aka dropping Tristan McKenzie.
I agree. I drop everywhere. Can't throw strikes, can't miss bats, walking everybody. Not really much else to say. Like, unless you're in a super deep league, he's doing far more damage than good. And yes, a hot spring, but like, there's, I don't know, so many. I wouldn't be surprised if there's an IL stint here.
Yep. It's just, that's what I was thinking all spring, and then he finally started getting it going, and optimism was king, and then boom, not so good.
All right, here's your boy. Let's go.
Let's talk Brandon Pfaadt. He's thrown 16 innings over 3 starts, 6.48 ERA, 1.38 WHIP, but 3.51 Sierra, 18.9% K to walk. I'm glad you put that on this chart because there is optimism in my world, and it's not just my bias when it comes to Brandon Pfaadt. First, he got beat up by Atlanta, 5 runs over 5 2/3, 6 runs in 6 innings versus St. Louis. It's been kind of a roller coaster of if you actually watch the games, it's kind of like a blurb here and a blurb there. Like, he's actually pitches well most of the start. I know it didn't make any sense probably to anybody else. But when you look at the underlying metrics of them, the K to walk that I love, and I think the velocity is still good enough with Brandon Pfaadt these days. I'm all in. He's got the Cubs on Wednesday. We'll see where it goes. Now, did I start him in every league this week? No. Like, he's turned into like a Bibee for me, where he's not an auto start these days, but I'm still very much a believer in Brandon Pfaadt right now.
Agreed. And I have Pfaadt active everywhere in my 50.
He's like 50-50. I know that for a fact. I remember some leagues I did, and some I had a better option, 100%.
Yep, makes sense. The concern with Pfaadt is Lavulo's Arizona's manager. They I don't know if he has a rotation spot if he still struggles. That's kind of the thing, is like the skills can be there, but the Diamondbacks
If they keep Tommy
Don't
Henry
care
up
about
there,
it.
like
I know.
holy, so bad.
I'd be surprised, but Tori Lavilla's quotes were like, yeah, because he basically said we are going to judge this based on results and results only, and Pfaadt 6.48 ERA, 138 WHIP. Now Henry hasn't been that great either. ERA north of 5. I don't think pitched that well. I believe he pitched tonight against the Cubs.
Yeah, I'll give you his stats real quick just for fun here. 4 1/3, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 Ks. Now has a 6.87 ERA on the year. So he's pushing.
Worse than Pfaadt. All right, we're back in.
We're back, boys.
Because
like who are we even talking? We're talking about when Erod returns. He just got a setback. So who are they even talking about?
I think originally it was around Erod returning, and
and he just got another setback. He shut down again. So
we're back to MIA Rod there.
Yeah.
So no, Pfaadt himself, you covered it very well. Like, yes, the fastball velocity is down a tick, but he's missing more bats with the 4-seamer and throwing a lot more strikes, which may be some of his problem, living in the zone a little bit too much. Has a 17% homer to fly ball rate. That's pretty brutal. League average is like 11%. I think that will come down. Typically does, closer to league average for pitchers. He's been BABIP to hell, 350 BABIP. The walk rate's better. He's throwing more strikes. The strikeout rate is slightly better. He's getting more whiffs. The sweeper's better than it was last year. This is, to me, the ultimate, stay the course.
Buy low. Go get him. I'm a big fan of Pfaadt, so we're going to keep going there, especially if you spell his name correctly, you'll find him and enjoy all of that. Make sure you spell this one correctly, AJ Puck. It's with a P, because a lot of people are saying something else if they rostered AJ Puck to start the season. And he's out with an illness now, skipped his spot in the rotation. So Edward Cabrera came and struck out 10 Giants on Monday. Puck might go back to the bullpen. Puck might start again. There's actually no word on when Puck's returning from said illness. I'm not going to go deep into the stats. You are definitely more than welcome to dive in, but it's been horrific. It has shown me no life, and I want nothing to do with AJ. But I dropped him pretty quickly.
Dropped him into 15 as well this week. I just gave up. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what this illness is. Sick of walking people.
I think what I said
6 walks
on my recent show is like the unable to pitch properly sickness or something like that. It was something along those lines. It was bad.
That's really bad. It isn't gopheritis. He's only given up 1 home run. Puck has. So this actually could be.
Well, you got to throw the ball in the zone to get swings to cause home runs. Thus the minus 10.3% K to walk.
Yeah, we don't need to spend more time on Puck.
It's just brutal.
He sucks. He has so sucked, I will say. He could still turn it around, but because he was really good this spring, and that was, maybe shame on me for buying in based on that, but I don't know. I took stock in what he was doing, and all of a sudden the control just unraveled. So
I'm waiting for him to go to the bullpen and then shut everybody up, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Carlos Marcano is in the chat here. McKenzie is by far the worst. Pfaadt and Stone not bad. Yep. We're with you here. We'll get to Stone here in a minute.
I'd put Puck in the McKenzie bucket as well, but agreed.
Both brutal. Let's go to Chucky, Charlie Morton. This is a fun one for me every year because he's just my boring veteran that 4.5 ERA, gets you about a K per inning, does this thing for 5 or 6 innings every start. Well, he's gone 5 2/3, all 3 starts, 6 runs, 4 runs, 0 runs. So kind of no, but strikeouts are there, getting you over a K per inning. It's just been a rough go overall for Morton, but in the end, it's the 4.11 Sierra that looks pretty good, 14.1% K to walk. To me, he is who I thought he was. I'm not. It's he's going to have good starts. He's going to have bad starts. To me, that's Charlie Morton. You've probably looked under the hood more and might have something better to say on that.
Really for Morton, it has been the walks, and really for Morton, it was just one bad. He had 5 walks in his second start against the Mets. His other 2 starts, 2 walks against the White Sox in his opener compared to 6 strikeouts, and then Morton's most recent start, 8 Ks, 1 walk. Against the lowly Miami Marlins, but still 8 Ks, 1 walk. Not worried at all about Morton. That spike in walk rate is based off of 1 bad start and the underlying. And I again, maybe broken record. I'm going back to the same metrics, but this is the stuff I look at to evaluate pitchers. Ball percentage compared to walks. Your league average ball percentage, 36%. Morton's actually below that, 35%. So better than league average at throwing strikes, and the walk rate has spiked based off that one Mets outing. So not worried about Charlie Morton at all. If anything, like I'm actually higher on Morton than I was entering the season, because entering the season, it was always just kind of a health thing, an age thing with Morton. And I think he's fine. So
Yep. He is who he is. And that's, as long as he's healthy, this is what you're going to get pretty much by the end of the season.
Agreed.
Pretty confident on that one. Gavin Stone, popular name towards the end of draft season once he had the job with the Dodgers. ADP was 229. Stone 14 innings so far, 6.14 ERA, 1.57 WHIP. Through 6 2/3, 2 earned with 4 Ks against the Padres in his last start. Got blown up at the Cubs. Pitched okay home versus St. Louis. You got the Sierra and the K to walk showing signs of life here. I've always been kind of wishy-washy on Gavin Stone. I appreciated that I can see the talents there. I just don't know if he's at the point to make it work consistently at this point in time. When you look at Gavin Stone, what are you thinking?
I'm pretty encouraged, actually. Like, he's missing a ton of bats. 17% swinging strike is very good. And yes, you just compare if you just want to look at the K- walk in the Sierra, 393 Sierra again, which is what, based on skills, Gavin Stone's ERA should be versus 6.14. I then turn to the quote unquote luck factors, a 391 BABIP against Gavin Stone. League average on that's around 300. So hits are just falling in. And when the guys get on base, it's a 57% left on base rate. League average on that is in the 70s. So guys who are reaching base when those balls drop in are scoring more often than they should, which is even more surprising given how often Gavin Stone misses bats. So I'm not concerned about Gavin Stone at all. And I would think he's relatively safe in that Dodgers rotation at this point.
For now, yes, definitely for now. As long as Yarborough keeps dealing, he should be worried, though. That's all I should say. He might take his spot. Louis Varland, one of your boys. This is a fun one here. 233 ADP, 14 innings, 8.36 ERA, 2.07 WHIP. But man, 3.73 Sierra, 15.3% K to walk. Just that alone looks a bit promising. It's been 5 innings against the Baltimore and the Dodgers. It feels like the blow up comes in like 1 inning in those ones, and he figures things out. So what's your thoughts on Louis Varland, who underlying metrics appear to look good, but that one we actually care about in fantasy, not great?
Yeah, the old ERA hasn't been that great. The old WHIP hasn't been that great for, I guess, my boy. I didn't know he was, but we'll go with that. I do have a few squads with Louis V on there. I don't know. Like you said, 2 of the 3 starts were against the Dodgers and Orioles. That's pretty tough competition. Even the Brewers. I mean, the Brewers,
one of the best offenses in baseball right now.
Exactly. Yeah, should not shortchange Milwaukee. So very tough schedule for Louis V. And again, his most recent start, 6 Ks, no walks against the Orioles. Like, not many guys have done that. So it's been rough for Louis Varland, but I had him in tout active this week, so you may want to bench him the rest of this week, but put him back in next week because I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll see. Like there's the underlying stuff does look good with Louis. Just needs to get it clicking because that Baltimore and Detroit this week. Detroit looks good. It's good for Varland. Angels next week could be good. Depends on how that one plays out. And then lastly here, Griffin Canning, 241 ADP, 13 is pitched, 9.88 ERA, 1.83 WHIP, 4.64 Sierra is better than his ERA, but a 12.1% K to walk doesn't make you feel warm and fuzzy. It's been 5 earned, 4 earned, 6 earned. The strikeouts 12 total Ks and 13 2/3. That's not great. Swinging strikes below 9% on the season. Zone contacts 92%. So when he's in the zone, getting crushed, not causing a lot of swing and misses. I cut him after, I believe, week 1 this year. I saw what I saw, and I'm like, I'm out. 12 teamers, I'm out. I think in 15s, you better move on by now too.
I haven't yet, and I'm stubborn. So I probably should have moved on. I do recall on a Friday afternoon when he gave up those 3 homers against Boston. I was actually watching that, and it was all the same inning. It's right after I got home from my kids' t-ball practice. Turned that on and watched watch Canning destroy my squads with 3 homers in the same inning. So that was a fun memory. That's about all I have to add. Canning's he's not fooling anybody. Yeah. And that's a concern.
Yeah, it's brutal. If there's ever a move in that rotation, he might be the first man out. Now, could he improve like he did last year and have a run? Possibly. That's when you pick him up. Don't let him ruin your team. Let's put it that way. Don't let him be your fall guy because it's not a good fall guy to have.
No, agreed.
All right. Any final thoughts on this Bloom board before I hit up our questions/comments that pretty much revolve around said Bloom board?
Yeah, so pretty much we're out on McKenzie, Puck, Canning, Hunter Brown, Joe Musgrove.
Yeah.
In on Ober, at least for me.
Yep, I'm in on Ober.
In on Pfaadt.
In on Bibee for me.
I'm
You're neutral.
Wish-washy on Bibee, leaning towards in. Yeah. In on Morton. I'm in on Stone. You sound a little more wish-washy on that one.
He's more matchup dependent for me right now, but I could see it at least for Stone, where some other of these pitchers, I can't even visualize something good coming from some of them. And
in on Louis Varlin. So that's kind of where
about a 50-50 out here. About a 50-50. Just I'd say buy low on Ober, Pfaadt. You'd probably buy low on Stone, I'm guessing. That'd be the main ones for me, I'd imagine. And then just get rid of everything else that we haven't mentioned, and go from there. All right, some of the comments we have here. Brent Chester, you mentioned it. He says, "Are y'all benching Bibee in 12s, cutting him soon?" No cutting. Like I said, bench, stream, that kind of thing, but no cutting yet in that scenario.
Agreed.
Timothy, who's a loyal listener in our listener leagues, he's one of my OCs as well. He says Bibee still passes the eye test. He's probably the guy I'm least worried about. Okay, I agree with the eye test. Not least worried about, but not as worried.
Mild. He kind of passed the eye test today, at least from what I saw. But the command was off. Even the secondaries were middle cut, but they were still missing bats middle cut. So that's a good sign.
Steve at the Steamer says, "I'm only in 2 leagues and I have a combined 7 shares of that list."
Oh no!
7 of the 12. That's not feeling good about life right there.
Laugh. That's brutal. That's tough.
Michael Cicchini says McKenzie, Puck, Varlin, and Canning is most concerning. McKenzie's not on. Oh, Tristan, yes. Oh no, we're pretty much on the same page with you outside of Varlin on that one. Pfaadt may just be a blah, number 5 type, too many homers. Question: does Musgrove's bad start last year and eventual low 3s ERA give you some hope for this year?
For me, no, just because last year, yes, Musgrove was pitching well, but I mean, if anything, last year makes it tougher for me to like him because he got hurt and it was his shoulder.
Yep, exactly. That's my concern. Taylor Johnson says, which pitchers from this list would you'd be looking to buy low and trade for? For me, it's Ober and Pfaadt.
If I had to pick 2, I would go Ober and
Stone.
Go Morton. Let's go Morton. Let's go little Charlie.
Boring is beautiful.
Yep.
Our buddy Carlos Marcana, who was in the chat, said, what is going to get a lot better, or who is going to get a lot better, and why is it Bailey Ober?
Agreed.
Ober's looking good.
Well done.
Calling my shot. Curious about some arms who either just made or are about to make their season debuts. Which of these guys seem like they will be better, worse, or part of this Bloom board of pitchers rest of season? Let's go one by one here. Nick Lodolo looked good in that first start, Ryan.
Oh, dude, beast. Yeah, I don't know what's the just general thought.
General thought. Do you think they'll be? I don't think he'll be on this board.
No. Yeah. I think Lodolo struck out 10 in his first start back. So that's You always worry about the park, but yes, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk against the lowly White Sox. But also threw 91 pitches for Lodolo too, which is probably just as important.
Very much so.
Yes, given the injury. And I'm actually very not concerned, just very interested to see, because the big thing with Lodolo was it wasn't while he was pitching, it was how his leg recovered. It's kind of like Tiger. How to recover for the next day or the next start. So I'm very interested to see what Lodolo does in start 2.
Yep, I'm with you on that. Jomo. I don't think Jomo makes this list, but we don't really know yet.
That's who Lavula was talking about.
Oh, that's right.
Not Erod.
He is a D-back. You're right. For some reason, I keep thinking Rangers with him.
Yeah, no, it was the impending return of Jomo. That's what it was.
Jomo could be back next week, early next week. He was supposed to originally come back the 19th. That got pushed back a few days.
Yeah.
So he could be like the beginning of next week.
That's what it was. Ignore. Can you go edit?
No. It's still a lefty. Get Tommy Henry out of the stinking rotation. It's that simple.
Agreed.
Jamison Tyon, I think he's kind of like a Charlie Morton type, so maybe he makes this list.
I think he makes this list, and I think he's a sell like Jamison Tyon.
He's a 15. He's a 15-team guy. I love. I hate him in 12s. Love him in 15s.
Yeah, that's fair. He's just someone who doesn't miss a ton of bats. Kind of lives on control, and who knows how Tyon looks when he gets back.
He usually doesn't crush your ratios, but again, it could be different this year off the injury.
Right. So. Exactly.
Edward Cabrera. As long as he's not walking guys, he's nowhere near this list.
Agreed. Everyone talks about the 10Ks as they should in that debut from Edward Cabrera. What I looked at was that 31% ball rate and 1 walk is you were holding up a finger at me. I don't know. Okay, it was
yeah, it's the good finger. It's
like, Dad, you really don't want me to take your thunder on Edward.
I was hoping you were gonna go 1 walk on that. So I was like, that's the most important thing for sure.
Yes, the 1 walk, but also again that throwing 69% strikes is huge for Edward Cabrera. It's very nice. Who knows if that stays that way going forward, but like that's the one. I mean, Edward Cabrera is like the ultimate 1 skill away starting pitcher, and it's control. That was very impressive.
Yeah, he looked great. Watched a lot of that game and looked good. Looked real good. Yariel Rodriguez. There's a lot of questions behind him. Yeah. I'm optimistic because I added him in most leagues. I also realize he's not going to go deep probably a lot of games, but I think there's a lot of strikeout upside, and if they do the proper opener stuff with him, he could be good.
Do you know what you got him for roughly, like just rough ranges?
Around $33 to $38. Okay. I didn't break the bank for him.
I got him in a bunch of spots too, like low 40s.
Yeah.
And felt okay about it. Like you said, the pitching deep in the games is at least a short-term concern with Yariel Rodriguez. Pitching late into the season is also a concern. Like I don't think he pitched in like organized games last year. So that's, he may have pitched a lot. I don't know. But I think he was there was some kind of dispute, or he was trying to get into the majors and just didn't pitch in a league last year. So we don't know what that workload is going to be, or what that's going to look like in the second half for Yariel Rodriguez. Could be speaking way, like I've thrown some wild stuff at the wall in this show before, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of questions there. I was trying to look up his I was trying to look up his Cuban numbers. I couldn't find them. So I can't help you there. Last one's Jack Leiter, and again, I have no idea if he's even sticking up after 1 start. So that's real tricky for me.
Agree.
Yeah. Thomas Travato says this board looks like a group of pitchers to target in trades. A few.
Here we go. Hold on. Sorry. This is the latest RotoWire blurb on Yariel Rodriguez. Didn't pitch at all in 2023 and was used as a reliever in Japan in 2022. So
there you go. So we'll see how that goes. But I think he was on the Cuban national team though, but maybe I'm mistaken. Otani 2024 says, what was that thing I keep thinking you tweeted a while back that goes like, if you group the pitchers by 30 according to ADP at the end of the year, the stats of 1 through 30 will be equal to 31 through 60, which will be equal to 61 through 90. Am I remembering something or fully making it up?
Not fully making it up. I believe it was the group of starting pitchers last year. It's definitely not a will be. I don't know. I can't predict. The group of starting pitchers, like I think it was 30 to 60 last year, had the same ERA ratio as the top 30 starting pitchers last year. That makes sense. Because we did that in our pitching recap episodes way back when. So yes, there is something to that. Otani 2020. I don't know what that looks like this year. I'm trying to kind of frantically pull up the top 30 starting pitchers this year. There have been blowups in the top 30 this year and injuries. So the jury's very much still out on if you waited to get starting pitching in that tier 2, tier 3 versus going ace early. Again, all depends who you pick.
Makes a lot of sense, though. So I could definitely believe that one. But yeah, I love how he quotes that. Am I mishearing that or something? Like, nah, it's probably some stat we had out
That's
there.
That's probably
some
something I
time.
got together in December when we're trying to think of stuff to talk about.
And then last question I got here is Eric Samolsky says, I feel like we gave Pfaadt a playoff bump after last year. He seems to really have just one pitch and gives up too many home runs. Also, McKenzie doesn't seem right. Yeah, McKenzie doesn't seem right, but Pfaadt is not just a playoff bump. Do I have to really go into this again? Is the up, down we talked about between the minors, but the way he finished the season.
It was a combination of the finish. His last stint in the majors was better with a pitch mix change that carried into the postseason.
Bingo. That's what a lot of it was. Because even I'm just pulling up here, so like the ERA still weren't elite, but the last couple months of the season, there it is. August we saw a 24.3% K to walk, September 27.3, which led to a strikeout rate, which led to a 23.8% K to walk. So we saw those increase tremendously. And through those increases, he still gave up a 1.8 home run to 9, 1.07 in August, but way down from the 3+ he had in the first 3 months of the season. So if he lives in that 1.5 home run per 9, still not great. He could be that guy with all the strikeouts. I think it's still a very good pitcher and has nothing to do with the playoff bump.
And maybe that's my blind spot with Pfaadt is maybe because I am in the camp that home runs are homer to fly ball, I should say, are basically completely out of a pitcher's control. Pitchers can control home runs by keeping the ball in the ground, but not by hard contact. At the macro level, our research at HQ in the last 20 years has shown that pitchers do not hold their own homer to fly ball. It goes back to league average. Now, does that apply to every single pitcher? No. And so maybe, I'm assuming the home run stuff with Pfaadt comes back to league average, kind of what I was talking about with him earlier. And maybe he is just one of those guys who lives in the zone and gets that homer. But I think it's way too early to kind of conclude that.
Like last year, 22% home run to fly ball in the first half, 14.4% in the second half. Yeah. It really just might be who he is.
Still above. I mean, it's still above league average, but yeah, you're right. It could be who he is.
Like we've seen a lot of pitchers do that, and by no means Max gonna say he's Max Scherzer, Garrett Cole by any means, but we've seen pitchers that live in the zone a lot will be cool with it. If he limits the walks like he started doing in the second half, then the home runs aren't a big deal. So,
and I don't even like when my pitchers are pitching and they give up a solo home run and get through the inning. It's like, it's a one whip, give up one earned run.
Yeah, and maybe it only took one or two pitches. Like I can live with that. Move on with your day. So that's my thought on Brendan Pfaadt. That's why I'm also not too worried about him this year because we're seeing a lot of the positives that ended last season. Like it was a different pitcher towards the end.
I think we have Otani 2020 in the chat.
I think that's him
under alias here. Appreciate that. I'm not crazy after all. We are here to reassure you. I will try and dig up that tweet actually and see exactly what that was. But appreciate that one.
I think if you look up, if it was something 1 through 30, something 31 through 60, you'll find it. Just search that. You got it. I'm just kidding. I love it. I would never even type out.
Make sure you type out something, and it'll really it'll come up. Then
Eric Halterman has, speaking of homer and a fly ball, do you think Shota Monago will give up a homer this season? I'm crossing my fingers that no, but yes, he will. It'll be a windy Wrigley day, and it's just going to get ugly.
I don't think he'll give up a run on the last home run.
He's so good. And remember all that talk you gave me, all that talk about you're way too high on him.
I didn't know. I took your advice.
Yeah, you
got some Imanaga in late drafts.
Yeah, there's
I
some.
Did get, no, it was. I think it was Tao. You tried to draft him in the 7th round. And I was like, dude. But
yeah, well, a 7th round Shota still looks pretty darn good right about now.
Hey, it looks better than my 7th round Yuri Perez.
Yeah, that wasn't going to go there, but you are correct on that one. You are correct on that one.
Even my 2nd round Luis Castillo. Hell, no, Imanaga's been awesome. Actually the only thing that has stopped him so far is the weather. because I
Yes.
believe it was his second start of the year. He went 4 innings, was going to get the win, and rain delay, and never came back.
Yeah, they shouldn't even have started that game. Like, that was one of those where
Yep.
they knew it ahead of time that the rain was coming in like an hour and a half. Like, what are we doing right now?
Yep.
But to each their own. All right, Mr. Bloomfield, we'll wrap it up there. Any final thoughts before we come back on Thursday and preview the Week 5 Fab?
No, I got nothing. Quickest episode that we've done in quite some time. Hour 5 minutes. Nice and expedient. No, we'll come back at you with the Fab preview on Thursday. We'll probably do something similar to this on the hitter side next Tuesday. I like to give at least another week on the hitter side. I don't try to overreact to hitters as much as I do pitchers, but I think we'll do something similar for the hitters. So start mid-rounders.
Yeah, I'll do early rounds. Let's do Ronald Acuna, Julio Rodriguez, Aaron Judge. Let's have all kinds of fun. I'm just kidding. Yeah, let's do middle rounders.
Yeah, because we're gonna cut Julio.
I know.
He has looked terrible.
Yeah, Bryce Harper. Every time I get a Bryce Harper message, then he goes deep that day. So keep sending me messages.
Yeah, he homered today, I believe.
I know. I'm saying I got like 2 of the last 2 days. He goes deep again. Then it'll be quiet for like 3 days. Then I'll get some messages what's wrong with Bryce, and he goes off again. So yeah, keep sending me Bryce Harper messages. It's much appreciated.
4 homers, hitting 215, 462 slug.
He'll be okay.
He'll be fine.
He'll be just fine. All right, everybody. So that'll do it for us on another episode of Bubba and the Bloom. Make sure you check out Ryan on the old Twitter there at RyanBHQ, podcast at Bubba Bloom Pod. I am at BDentric. And until next time, this is Bubba and the Bloom, episode 126. Catch y'all later.